My name is Liz Marquis. I'm Director of Marketing and Sales at McLean, and today we are going to talk about understanding the senior living alphabet, different options, and understanding commonly used terms when talking about senior living. So as folks start to explore senior living options, it really can introduce a whole new vocabulary to you. You'll be hearing terms that you've never heard before, unfamiliar acronyms, and that can sometimes get in the way of understanding or truly understanding what your options could be. So some folks find it hard to decode acronyms or commonly used terms, and then don't make decisions with as much confidence as you would like to. So learning the meaning of the acronyms and commonly used terms can help you decide what might be the right path for you. And my hope is that after today, you will leave here with a better understanding of senior living terms, and so that you do make decisions with confidence. And I'm not doing my job if you have a lot of questions about that afterwards. So let's get going. All of this is to ensure a secure plan for future care. So if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to ask. Now is the right time. So if we look at this next slide, these are some very typical terms and acronyms used in when discussing senior living or senior living options. Take a quick look and see if you recognize any, see if you don't recognize any or have questions about what they might be. At the end of this presentation, we're going to re-look at this slide and see if you have a better understanding of everything up here. Okay. When we're talking about senior living alphabet, we're really talking about residential programs and services that seniors may engage as they age. Not every single program and service out there is going to be appropriate, so not everything is going to apply to you in your specific situation. But what we're going to talk about today are independent living options. Some of the terms that you may hear with independent living options are 55 plus, retirement living, CCRC, continuum, assisted living option. These first two are residential options. You'll hear about ADLs or see an ASL abbreviation. Memory care can be abbreviated with MC. You may also hear dementia, Alzheimer's, secure or security. These are for residential options. Home care, there's a lot of terms used with home care, and it can get a little confusing in that what's the difference between a Medicare licensed home care service or a companion service? And there are many options out there for different types of care at home. What does that mean? What is the difference, and what might be right? And then as we talk about skilled nursing, folks often ask, what is long-term care? We're going to talk about long-term care waiting lists. We're going to talk about short-term rehab. We're going to talk about Title 19, the Medicaid government subsidy for skilled nursing services. And then we're going to talk a little bit about hospice care. But some of these should start to sound familiar. We're going to talk about what do they each mean? How do I know which is right for me? Because not everything is going to apply to everyone. What will my insurance cover? How will I know when I need more help? And who can help me decide? This presentation includes several different profiles of folks. So we're going to look at individual theoretical case studies to help illustrate the different types of care and service that comes in with each section we just talked about: independent living, assisted living, memory care, home care, hospice, and skilled nursing. So a few things to keep in mind as we're going through this presentation. You're here and you're listening because you're thinking and planning ahead, which is a wonderful start. We don't want to make decisions in an emergency or a crisis, so getting as much information as we can, understanding terms and commonly used acronyms help when it does come time to make a decision, even if it's a quick decision. Understanding and having some familiarity with these terms will help you make a decision with confidence when that time is right. You'll want to make the right decisions for you and your family. And as we talked about, not everything we talk about today is going to be right for everyone, but you're garnering information to inform yourself and have that foundation of understanding for when you do come across a situation where you have to make a decision. This is our first case study. Let's take a look at Fred and Nancy. Fred is 72 years old. He works part-time. He's active in the community. His partner, Nancy, is 69. She volunteers and loves to travel. Now, these folks may be starting into their retirement phase. They are thinking ahead. They're wanting to downsize. So maybe they live in a family home where they raise children, or they had their careers. They're looking to downsize in size and scale, which means they're looking to downsize in the size of their house, but they're also looking to downsize some of their possessions, some of their activities, and just creating a life on a somewhat smaller scale. And they're looking for a supportive and enriching community. So as they're looking ahead, they may take things into consideration of meal preparation, communities with transportation. They may start to think about maybe we can downsize to one car or no cars, but they are definitely looking ahead. Their options will include things like an over 55 community, which could also be called a mature adult community, or an active adult living community. You'll also hear the term full service retirement living or a continuing care retirement community. This presentation is not specific to McLean, although we can incorporate some of McLean's programs and services into what we're talking about. McLean is a continuing care retirement community offering independent living. So some of these terms do not apply to McLean, but they do come into play when we're talking about independent senior living. So what you might hear is a carefree, gated community with country club amenities. So you're going to hear flourishes of amenities and programs and services that are going to appeal to folks that are looking to downsize their house, they're looking to engage in maintenance-free or carefree living. That could mean that folks have their landscaping done for them. They don't have to think about that. Maybe they have maintenance-free living where someone will come even inside their home and change light bulbs and fix appliances and do some indoor maintenance as well. They may offer recreation, so some places may have a formal program, calendar of programs where they have exercise a few days a week, they have education programs, they bring entertainment in, they have scheduled trips specifically for the community. If it is a developed neighborhood, they may have a specific clubhouse. They may have amenities such as pools and tennis courts and pickleball courts. They could be owner occupied. You may actually own your home in a developed neighborhood. They could be rental. So you don't have a stake in ownership, so you're not paying property taxes. These are some of the options that you'll hear with independent living. And some independent living, most typically do not include any healthcare services or medical oversight. So these are folks that are able-bodied, healthy, no memory concerns. This is truly a downsize step. When you're talking about a full service or a CCRC, that's the continuing care retirement community, it is a maintenance-free lifestyle. There is a meal plan. You'll hear about right-sized living space. That's the downsize that we're talking about. That's moving from a 4-bedroom home to a 2-bedroom apartment, possibly. Most places have a very communal and community atmosphere where folks want to get to know each other. They know their neighbors. It may be congregate housing, so you're in an apartment. There will be education programs, entertainment, activities, transportation. Some communities may also have a concierge office or a concierge desk, similar to a front desk at a hotel. You may have a emergency call system when you move in, which is the lifeline, the I've fallen and I can't get up system, so some places will offer that as part of their package. There also might be someone on the premises for security. They may have a security guard. They may have a front gate that folks have to pass into. But when you're thinking about independent living, you're thinking about moving from a neighborhood of mixed ages and children and seniors all living together. This is folks that are similar age, similar spot in their lives as far as retirement. They are independent, they don't need any medical oversight, and they're just looking for programs and amenities and services that would accompany an independent living environment. And a lot of places will have access to health and wellness staff and programs. So there may be that component, there may not. We often say it's life the way you want it because it's maintenance free. There are amenities and programs that you can take advantage of. You can or not, it's really your choice. But this is a full service or a continuing care community environment for independent living. CCRC characteristics. This is CCRC is McLean. We are a continuing care retirement community, and what that means is we offer a full spectrum of health services, healthcare plans and services. So we talk about it being worry-free. Folks move into McLean or another CCRC and they can stay for as long as they need to or want to because they can be supported medically as they age. So at McLean, we offer the independent living, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, and short-term rehab. So if folks move to McLean, they have an idea in their mind that they are going to be supported. Their healthcare needs are going to be supported throughout their life at McLean. So we often say it's worry-free. If we're working with adult children, we'll often say this could be the move that your parents make, and they don't need to move again because we will support them medically as they age. There is an application process. There are financial and health requirements to prove eligibility. What folks are looking for, what McLean is looking for, we're looking for financial strength, your financial health in order to be able to maintain your lifestyle at McLean and pay into this continuum. And then we're also looking for your health eligibility. We want to ensure that you are deemed independent by your doctor. So that is the line in the sand for independent living. If you're talking about life care and fee-for-service, there are two different financial structures for continuing care retirement communities. There is a life care, and then there's fee-for-service, and we do have a B option. And these types, when we're talking about types, type A, type B, type C, that's the contract type. That's the contract that you enter into, you as an individual and McLean as the entity. And it's important to understand the difference because it's a financial distinction. We file our contracts every year with the state. It is a state regulated entity. So if you're entering into a continuing care retirement contract, there is oversight there from the state of Connecticut. So you know that we play by the rules. So the contract that you enter into is filed and it is upheld. A type A contract is extensive life care contract. And what that means is you will pay possibly these are typical generalizations, so this is just a brief overview of the contract types. You may pay the highest entry fee and the highest monthly service fee, but unlimited access to healthcare services on that campus. So typically, you pay your entry fee, you're buying into the community, and you're paying a what could be considered a high monthly fee. Your monthly fee stays the same regardless of where you live on that campus. So if you move into independent living, which is the expectation in a CCRC, that you move into independent living and then progress through the healthcare continuum, should you need higher care program like assisted living, you will continue to pay your same monthly service fee throughout. through assisted living. Should you need skilled nursing, you will continue to pay that same monthly fee through skilled nursing as well. Some people like this financial arrangement for planning purposes. They know exactly how much to expect to pay out every month, regardless of where they live on campus. A modified life care contract may have a lower entry fee and monthly fee, but may have limited access. So you may not have priority access to the next level of care should you need it, but you've paid in less money. So it is really an accessibility question. And the type C is fee for service. This is what McLean is. So we have a lower entry fee and monthly service fee in independent living, but as you move through the continuum, you will pay an increased monthly rate. So should you move to independent living, you pay the independent living entry fee and the monthly service fee, which is lower than a type A contract, but should you need assisted living care, your monthly service fee will bump up to what that monthly fee is for assisted living. Our feeling is you are only paying for the care that you need. Some folks move into independent living and they stay in independent living. So we would never have them pay for care that they're not using. Some people like this because they say, I'm moving into the apartment, I'm moving into independent living, I don't know what the future's going to bring, so I'm not going to pay in advance for care I may not need. So here's our next profile. This is John. We're moving into, you'll notice we started at independent living, we're moving into assisted living. So our case studies are following the progression of our continuum. John wants to maintain his independence, but needs some help with ADLs. Those are activities of daily living. Those were on our initial sheet as far as commonly used terms. Activities of daily living include things that you need to do every day in order to live your day. That's meal preparation, that is bathing, showering, it's personal care, continence, it's being able to ambulate or transfer, so being able to get up off of a chair and to a walker and ambulate. It's medication management. So these are all things that you need to be able to do in order to live your day. You need to be able to take your own medications. You need to be able to prepare meals, ambulate, dress, bathe, personal care assistance. If you need assistance with any of these, you could qualify for assisted living. John has had some health concerns. He has a pacemaker, and for him specifically, he needs help remembering to take his medications. John could be living independently, and his family recognizes the need for additional support, and maybe that's why they're looking. We often have folks who call us and say, my mom lives on her own, but I noticed that her pill bottle is still full at the end of the week, so I don't think she's taking her medications appropriately. Or I look into the fridge and there's, the milk has turned and there's moldy vegetables, and I don't think that she's getting out enough in order to do her grocery shopping, so I'm concerned about her nutrition. If you have concerns about someone needing additional help with activities of daily living or possibly moving to an assisted living environment, folks will often call and say, Liz, I'm just not sure if it's time. There are some cues that you can look for. If you have someone in your life who you're worried about, take a look and look in their fridge. Do they have food? Is it all frozen food? Do they know how to prepare frozen food? Can they use the microwave or a stove? Their medication bottles, is it an appropriate level? Can you tell? Maybe some people will have the pill organizers. Maybe someone's doing the pill organizers for them and they're pre-pouring their medication. Does it seem like they're taking it on time and appropriately? If folks are still driving, you can look for dings on their car. You want to look for any indication that maybe they're not doing as well as they say they're doing. You may want to look for bruising, suspicious bruising. Maybe they are falling, getting in and out of the shower. And there are steps you can take, things you can put in place to safeguard someone. The Lifeline is a great resource. Having a companion come in could be helpful as well. But one of the things that you won't get if someone stays home who truly needs assisted living is that companionship, a consistent companionship. Meal preparation, accessible transportation, those are all things that are managed in an assisted living care environment. So just knowing what to look for, knowing the steps to take should someone need additional help, it really goes a long way in deciding if someone's ready for assisted living. Here are some of the terms that you'll hear with assisted living, AL or ASL, that's an abbreviation. The definition of assisted living, and we covered a little bit of this in the previous slide, it's a living environment in which personal and medical care are supplied on a scheduled basis. So when we start to think about criteria of someone who's appropriate for assisted living, someone may need help with bathing and showering and medication management, but they also must be deemed chronic and stable by their doctors. So it is someone who needs a routine and needs their care to be on a schedule rather than on demand. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But the assisted living environment does some wonderful things. It fosters independence. So if someone truly wants to maintain as much independence as they possibly can, but they just need meals prepared for them, their medication managed, or help bathing, but everything else they can do on their own. They can still participate in programs and have that companionship and have that accessibility to a community environment. It's scheduled assistance, as we mentioned, so people will have a routine, much like they do in their independent lives. They will get up at a certain time. They will, what their morning routine might be, their meal routine, their medication routine, and all of this is put together with the resident, the person, their family, a nurse supervisor at the assisted living community, as well as their primary care physician. And what's nice about assisted living is it is one step past independent living, but it's still a very open environment promoting independence, so it's the least restrictive. Assisted livings are state regulated. We all have licenses. We are subjected to periodic inspections. The medical supervision is done by registered nurses. So a registered nurse will put together that routine, also called a plan of care for each individual. And then help with the activities of daily living, help with those ADLs are typically done by certified nursing assistants. So as you're shopping around for an assisted living, you want to ask who's providing the care. They will be regulated by a nurse. There will be that nursing oversight, but who's providing their care? Are they certified? Are they appropriate to be providing that care? And what is their application process, their hiring process? Assisted living, just some helpful hints, may also be called assisted care, an assisted living facility. They may also call it elder care or residential care. These are all some things, they're interchangeable terms, but understanding what you may hear can help you make that determination in your mind as to what people are referring to. This is simply a list of activities of daily living. We talked a little bit about it. Our friend John, who's looking at assisted livings, this is what he will have access to. His medication will be pre-poured for him and given to him. It will not be crushed in food. It will not be administered by a nurse, but it will be handed to him and he will be cued to take it. Bathing and personal care, all of his meals, housekeeping, typically laundry will also be done. Transportation is also part of an assisted living community. And the benefits of that is John will avoid being isolated because he'll be part of a community. He will have someone on hand to to help him 24 hours a day. And then he'll have access to all of the activities, exercise, social and educational programs. So that also combats the isolation factor. And what we've found is that folks who have been living on their own for a while and are struggling with help with activities of daily living, once they're in part of a community again, once they have that resource at their fingertips of meals and programs, they flourish. They feel relevant. They are part of that community. They're not languishing behind a closed door, struggling to keep up with personal care or nutrition. So this is a true benefit of an assisted living environment. Should that really be right for you? Your choices. As far as alternatives, if John were to stay at home, he would need to be able to manage his care. So if his family was going to have someone come in and take care of him, he would have to manage that. If there is we live in Connecticut, we are hardy New Englanders, but if there is a snowstorm and someone can't get to John, someone needs to make sure that he's okay. His other option is to stay with family members or a spouse, or have home care come in, that companion piece. Things to consider, and we've touched on this a little bit. If his care is being managed by a spouse, how much care can that spouse actually provide? Can they provide the hands-on care? Can they provide the socialization and that engagement that someone may get with a planned activity schedule? Managing home care, again, if there's a snowstorm, who's going to come and manage the medications? Who's going to come and provide that assistance to him? And then, of course, there's strain on family members. We see a lot of families who have children that don't live close by, and they are managing their parents' care or their aunts and uncles or grandparents' care from a distance. That can be an option, but that puts strain on families. And what that can mean is that a child who lives driving distance can maybe swing by every now and then and check in on mom and dad. Someone who lives a flight or a train travel away, that requires more planning on them. It could be stressful, especially if there are grandchildren involved. So a lot of us find ourselves taking care of parents and our children, and we're pulled in several different directions. As a little aside, I just wanted to mention, if you are a caregiver providing oversight from afar, there are things that you can do to help determine if it's time to make that move. So if you are a child and your mom or dad lives in Chicago or the Midwest or down south, periodic phone calls can help. Engaging neighbors to stop over and to check in on them and ask them to do what you would do if you stopped by. Check their medication, check the fridge. Ask them, who have you seen today? Who have you talked to today? If they say, I saw so-and-so a few days ago, or they can't remember, that could be just a sign that they're feeling isolated, or they truly are isolated. You may also notice if someone is calling you a lot. We'll often hear from adult children that say, I think it's time that my parent moved to an assisted living environment because they're calling me 4 and 5 times a day. Or they're calling me 4 and 5 times a day and they're not remembering that they've called me 4 and 5 times a day. What we see a lot of time is that folks wait too long to get into an assisted living environment, and then they're no longer appropriate for that level of care. And that is a very hard conversation to have with folks. They say, well, we wanted to keep mom home for as long as we possibly could, and now she's bed bound and can't get up and needs meals and needs to be fed. And we often tell people, we will never tell you when it's the right time to move, but we will tell you when it's too late, that you're not appropriate for assisted living anymore. Your condition is not chronic and stable, and you cannot be served safely in an assisted living environment and may need to move to skilled nursing. One category of assisted living is memory care. So folks who have a diagnosis of dementia or are having significant memory loss or difficulty performing tasks, they may benefit from an assisted living environment. The reason is they may not remember to take their medication. They may not remember that they took it. So it becomes a safety issue. For both assisted living and memory care assisted living, it truly does become a safety concern. The benefits of a memory care assisted living are on here, very similar to assisted living, except memory care typically will be a secure environment. It will have a secure door. So folks who live there may wear what we call wander guards. They may wear a medallion around their neck or their wrist, and when they get close to a door, that door will secure, not allowing them to pass through. And that is so they don't exit without someone with them, just to keep them safe. The staff in memory care assisted living are dementia trained, so they have extensive dementia training. They know what happens with the progression of Alzheimer's and other dementias, so they're prepared for what's considered sundowning, or someone waking up in the night and having their days and nights mixed up, or folks who want to get dressed and ready for work because that's what they've been doing. And those folks are specifically trained to be able to redirect, calmly redirect. You want to keep folks safe. You want to keep them engaged, and that all promotes the feeling of calmness, being part of something, and that is the benefit of a memory care assisted living. Other terms, we don't need to talk too much about this. If you're hearing memory care, you're talking about dementia, you're talking about Alzheimer's, which is one type of dementia, and something that's newly coming out. Instead of saying dementia, some folks are referring it to as neurocognitive disorder, which covers a whole host of memory considerations. So here, this is an important slide. You have this in your packet here. If you're searching around, if you're shopping and looking around, there are a few questions that you're going to want to ask, and you're going to want to get the answer for these. You want to know if there's 24-hour staffing, because if someone with especially memory concerns or who need help with activities of daily living, including personal care or bathroom routines, you want to make sure that there's someone there 24 hours a day. Is it a la carte or is it all-inclusive pricing? So most of these communities are on a monthly basis. So you want to know, are you paying a monthly service fee? Does that rate stay the same? Or is there a la carte pricing? Are you charged every time someone goes in and provides medication? Are you charged every time someone goes in and gives a shower? That could be a bookkeeping nightmare if you're the one handling the finances, because you're not going to know the level or cost of care month over month. So sometimes we will get a call from a family who came to look at McLean, and they're saying, well, McLean's assisted living rate starts at $6,000. That's an all-inclusive rate, and we give you what is included: meals, help with activities of daily living, transportation, an individualized plan of care, medication management, all housekeeping, all laundry, including linens. You want to know what you're getting for your $6,000. And someone will say, well, why would I come to McLean and pay the $6,000 when I can go to 2 towns over and it's $3,500? And we say, yes. That could be, what are you getting for that $3,500? That may be just the room. Do they charge you for meals? Do they charge you for medication management? Are they charging you for shower? Ask them for their rate sheet. And if you're asking them for the rate sheet, you want to go through the day of the person who will be living there. Do they shower every day? Do they need medication reminders 3 or more times a day. So you want to add up what you think they'll need. So you're comparing apples to apples as far as price. The other thing to take into consideration, as that person needs more care or has an episode of needing higher care, an illness, for example, an injury, a post-surgery, is your bill going to jump up because they are going to need a more assistance? You just want to go in with your eyes open on the cost and what's included. Is there a community fee? Some places charge a security deposit, some places charge a non-refundable community fee, but you don't want to be surprised on the day you move in and be expected to pay a community fee, whatever that is. Are there tax deductible provisions? Their accounting department will be able to help you with that. What will my long-term care insurance cover? If you have a long-term care insurance policy, some policies cover assisted living services, some don't. We often say if you've seen one long-term care insurance policy, you've seen one long-term care insurance policy, because however that policy was sold, those are the benefits that you will be entitled to. So you want to make sure that if you do have a long-term care insurance policy, you want to see what is covered in assisted living. Is it secure? What's their security like? Even in traditional assisted living, you want to know, can people just walk in and out? Is there a keypad outside the door? Does someone need to give a password to come in? Especially memory care. You want to make sure it's a secure community. What happens if I need more care? Not only is this a cost concern, it is a level of care concern. So if they have certified nursing assistants there 24 hours a day providing care, what happens if your loved one needs medication being administered overnight? Is there someone who can do that? What if they have a skilled need? What's the provision for that? Do you bring in a home care agency? Do they have a nurse on site 24 hours a day? You want to ask that question. Some places will say at a certain level, if someone's in a wheelchair, we cannot maintain that level of care here and you will need to find another place to live. That's a tough conversation to have. What happens if I need skilled nursing? Do they bring it in? Am I going to be charged for that? Do you provide it here? That's a question. And the last one, and this is a big one, what happens if I run out of money? If you're paying thousands of dollars a month in an assisted living community, chances are you may deplete your assets. You may spend down your money. What happens then? When do they let you know that you've got 2 or 3 months left? We're going to get into the Medicaid application in a minute. Some places will say you can stay. We've already done our due diligence. The CCRCs, the expectation is you're going to spend down your assets. McLean anticipates Medicaid as a payer source in skilled nursing from our residents. It gets expensive. You want to make sure that you don't have to move if you run out of money, because if that happens, where are you going to go? And how are you going to pay for it? We're going to touch on that in just a minute. Here's our third case study. This is Linda. She's 93. She requires 24-hour nurse supervision. So this means that Linda might have medication on demand. That could be for diabetes management. She tests her blood sugar. It could be for pain management. She has increased support for personal care needs. So she may be more incontinent. She might need more assistance with feeding or bathing, and her family is feeling that they are no longer able to support her needs at home. Her family, she may be thinking ahead. They want to make sure that she ages safely. They want to make sure that she has a good quality of life. They're looking out for her well-being, and the family wants peace of mind that Linda is supported as she ages. So clinically, from a medical perspective, as well as from a social perspective, she's going to be around folks who can care for her. She's going to be around folks who are similar to her in age and acuity, meaning she's going to be maybe with her peers. Sometimes she will know someone there, so she has that relationship with folks who already live there for residents. So her quality of life is going to be good. Skilled nursing could be, you could see the initials SNF or LTC, that is skilled nursing facility or long-term care. The definition is above, talking about long-term skilled nursing care and help with daily living. As you talk about how do I know the difference between assisted living and long-term care or skilled nursing, when do we make that determination? Especially folks who are home, there will be a tipping point between needing help with activities of daily living, which makes you appropriate for assisted living if you're chronic and stable, and long-term care. So it could be a long-term illness or condition that requires consistent, constant medical care and oversight. You could be temporarily disabled from an illness or injury, which means you could need post-acute or short-term skilled nursing care. And also, again, you want folks to maintain as much independence as they possibly can. You want folks to be up and dressed if they're able and engaged with the community, and have that feeling of relevancy and purpose, and I've got something to do with my day, which is what nursing homes and skilled nursing communities strive for. You'll often see that they have therapeutic recreation. They'll have recreation like camp counselors. They come in, they're specially trained to provide engagement and engaged activities to keep folks cognitively aware and engaged that way. In addition to, if we're looking at the spectrum of assisted living to a skilled nursing community, the difference is it is 24-hour skilled nursing staff, which means you've got a registered nurse there 24 hours a day. In assisted living, a nurse may be there during the day and you have your care partners at night, those certified nursing assistants. Skilled nursing is 24-hour registered nurse. There's coordination of care by social workers and care plan managers. There's also a medical director, so there'll be a physician on staff. This skilled nursing also provides true administration of medications. So if someone needs injections, if someone needs crushed medications or something physically put in their mouths to take, that's also part of skilled nursing. Wide range of treatments and recreational therapies, and as I mentioned, there's a physician or medical director to oversee their care. In most skilled nursing communities, there's a component of rehabilitation, which could include speech, occupational and physical therapies, specialized therapies for specific conditions such as COPD or chronic heart failure. So there are some specialty programs that are supported within a skilled nursing community. There's also for advanced Alzheimer's, advanced Parkinson's, they have that support. So I hope that you're seeing the progression from independent living, assisted living of the memory care component, and skilled nursing. That's my hope, and that you're getting some familiarity with some of the terms. Cost and coverage of skilled nursing. This is a hot topic now. Skilled nursing in Connecticut is typically a daily rate. It's roughly on average about $450 a day. It could run up to $14,000 a month for private pay. The options to pay could be mostly private pay. There may be some insurance options as far as billable programs. Long-term care insurance may come into play, and also Medicaid. So this is the Title 19 we mentioned earlier. Medicaid is the government subsidy for skilled nursing. As folks spend down their assets, as they age and spend down their assets in communities, the expectation is that they will apply for Medicaid, be accepted into the program, and Medicaid will pay for their skilled nursing. Some Medicaid benefits include support at home, so you could have a home care agency that's paid by Medicaid. For today, we're talking specifically about a skilled nursing community accepting Medicaid as a payer source. McLean accepts Medicaid as a payer source in our nursing home from our residents, and what we're talking about below communities not accepting Medicaid pending applicants. So if you think about a typical application to Medicaid, folks will age in place, whether it's at an assisted living community or at home. They will spend down their assets, and then when they have a specific set amount of assets left, and I'm not quite sure what that number is, they will apply for Medicaid benefits. And we've heard that it takes about 45 to 60 days for a Medicaid application to be processed. We think it's a little longer than that. At McLean, our business office will contact families about 9 months out to say you're depleting your assets, it's time to start thinking about a Medicaid application, put you in touch with an elder care attorney who knows the Title 19 or Medicaid laws and can help process that application. If someone is in an assisted living community that does not offer skilled nursing and they are not Medicaid eligible to stay, they may apply for Medicaid, and then that assisted living community will tell them it's time to move because we can't accept Medicaid. If they have submitted an application, it has not been approved, they're considered Medicaid pending. That is a risk for any skilled nursing community to accept that person because they don't have an approved application, meaning if they're not eligible for benefits, and there are several different ways to become ineligible, an elder care attorney can speak to this more clearly, but if they've had inappropriate asset transfers, meaning they've sold their house for $1, they have gifted large sums of money to spend down those assets, they may be ineligible for Medicaid, and communities, that means there's no payer source. So you just want to ask. That ties back into if you're in an assisted living community and you're spending down your assets, you want to make sure what happens when I run out of money. That's where that question comes into play, because you're talking about a Medicaid application, you're talking about a payer source, Medicaid paying for your care. So, things to consider, plan ahead. Skilled nursing communities have waiting lists. The McLean list right now is about 3 years from folks from the outside. So we serve our campus first, so our assisted living residents know that they have a place in our nursing home should they need it. There's no cost to be on a waiting list. If you are planning ahead and know that you may possibly need long-term care in the future, my recommendation is go tour a few places, go tour a few nursing homes, call ahead and make an appointment, just drop by, just to see. You want to be comfortable with whoever list you decide to be on. You are comfortable going there should you need to. There's no cost to that. No one can charge to have you on the list. It's important to acknowledge feelings. This is a change. This can be a big hurdle for folks, admitting that they may possibly need long-term care. Be honest about what you may need in the future, what your loved one may need in the future. And if you have a support system of friends and family or churches and community groups, ask what other folks have done. Ask reputations of places, anyone who's had an experience. Chances are someone has an elderly loved one and they've had experience with some of this. So they may have advice to offer, but do your own homework and visit some communities that you're interested in. This moves to home care, also known as VNA or Visiting Nurse Association. If you're not thinking about a residential option, you may want to think about home health care. A Visiting Nurse Association is an organization that is, you want to look for a Medicare certified nursing agency, Medicare certified licensed agency that provides skilled nursing care or therapy or palliative or comfort care at home. Now, the criteria for skilled nursing home care, this is someone coming in and doing medical care at home. Patients must be homebound, which means they can't get out to have these services done. It is prescribed by a doctor and it is covered by Medicare. what we want to not confuse this with is companion or custodial care. So you'll often hear visiting angels, companions and homemakers. There are a whole host of companion services out there. You want to make sure, you want to know what they're able to provide versus a visiting nurse agency. They may provide companionship. They may be able to do light duties, housekeeping services, laundry, light cleaning, personal care. Custodial care or companionship care, they are non-medical. Typically, you'll want to ask, but typically they are not licensed for hands-on care as far as, and by hands-on, that is helping someone up. They're not licensed for that. It does not need to be ordered by a doctor, so if you have someone who needs light housekeeping, light care, that you can reach out to them on your own. It is not typically covered by insurance, but some of the services they provide may be, so you'll want to ask. But I just want you to understand the difference between a visiting nurse agency and a companion care. And then as we follow along the continuum, hospice care. Some folks say, I want to come to your hospice. Hospice is a philosophy, not a place. So hospice services can be provided anywhere someone lives. So it is provided in their home. That can be a residential home in the community. It can be an assisted living community. It can be a long-term care community or skilled nursing. They often offer a comfort-focused or palliative program, so that could be pain medication, and management. Typically they are hospice educated nurses, social workers, spiritual counselors. There may be music therapy, pet therapy, massage therapy. At McLean, we have a very robust hospice volunteer program. So that is support for patients and their families through the final months of life. And hospice can be started as early as 6 months. That benefit can be 6 months long, which is a real wonderful gift to give to someone and their family as they're making that journey. And so here we come back to our page with all of the abbreviations, acronyms, and terms. Are you recognizing some of these? Do you have a better understanding of from where we started to where we are now? I'm hoping that all of this looks familiar and that you have a good understanding. And as we finish up here, I just want to reiterate that the fact that you're here and listening to this presentation, you are thinking ahead, you're planning ahead, you're formulating in your mind some of the components that may be included to help support someone as they age, and you want to be able to make the right decision for you at the right time and know that you are armed with the information you need, so should a crisis arise or an emergency come up, you at least have fortified yourself with knowing the terms and being familiar with the process. And again, not everything will be right for everyone all the time, so make sure that you focus in on the support that you need at that time. I hope I've helped to clear up any misconceptions or at least define some terms. Are there any questions? Well, thank you for coming today. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did. Thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.